Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to draw Wednesday Addams from the new Netflix series. As you can see, I already have a light sketch laid out just so that I can remember what I want to draw. I like to use a pencil because it creates sharper lines that you can erase if you make mistakes before you get into permanent inking and coloring. I start off with the face because it's the most peculiar part. Everyone has a different shape when it comes to the face, but the thing that remains the same is that there's a bump where the eyebrow's gonna be and then a curve in for the eye socket. The cheek goes back out, and then for the chin you kind of want to make it another figure coming out of the big circle that makes the head. From that point, at the end of the chin, you can start doing the jawline, which is kind of like a stretched out L shape, except the longer parts at the bottom, and it can connect right to the ear. The next thing I'm going to do is move on to the hair, which I prefer to do in sections because it's easier to color afterwards. Wednesday has bangs, obviously. So I start off by doing a curved line over the eye that's not too low to cover, but low enough to create a shadow to make it seem like it covers the forehead. For this part, you can really do it however you like because hair doesn't stay in the same position. You can always create like a different movement. But the basic thing is that the hair is tied, so it has to create a sort of similar shape to the skull when you do a round part or behind the ear, and it has to cover most of the forehead. Also, let's not forget that Wednesday's bangs have longer hair on both edges, and there's a strand coming right in front of the ear, kind of like a sideburn. I refine a little bit the shape. You can erase or pause as you go along. And then to do the neck. The neck doesn't connect right to the jawline. It's a little bit behind because the jawline is three-dimensional. Next thing is the lips, and Jenna Ortega, the actress, has very peculiar lips. Actually, it was tough to do that. You kind of create the bottom lip by doing a sort of banana shape. And then the top is gonna be like two mountains, except that there's not a big separation between them. That's how I like to describe it. For the nose, it's pretty simple. You just do a sort of curved line. And then you can also do the part where the nostril is gonna be next to it, which is sort of a reverse C shape. For the eyes, it's pretty simple. You just do two lines that are kind of like a smiley face, but then you can create sort of like a dome on top for the lids. Honestly, I'm trying to find the best words to describe what I'm doing right now. I move on to the neckline of the shirt, and for that part it doesn't have to be precise because it's a sweater. There's also stripes on the shirt, so you could add that in too. Try to guess where it's going to be on the image. For the braid, you don't have to be very precise right now because I'm gonna come back to that after to do the internal details of the braid. So just do two lines that are very bumpy, that have a lot of bumps. Then that's when you sort of add a zigzag line in the middle to help prepare where the actual hair is going to be. So as you can see, you just follow the braid from doing tip to tip of that zigzag line. It's actually a trick that I find very useful for doing braids because it's really hard if you don't have a plan for it. Next up is the shoulder. So I know I said she's wearing a hoodie, a sweater, a hoodie. sorry, not a sweater. She's wearing a hoodie over her shirt. So it's going to be very baggy. So you can create all those sorts of dents that you want to make the shirt look bigger, like oversized. There's going to be parts that are lower, parts that go over each other. It doesn't have to be clean. For the arm, you don't do a straight circle. You're gonna do foreshortening, something called foreshortening, which means that the hand is gonna appear as sort of bigger than what it actually supposed to be because it's closer to you in a perspective sort of a way. Then I start the cello. So to do the cello, it's pretty simple so far. You just do a round shape and then it kind of goes back up into spike. You do the same thing on the other side, so it's mirrored, so it's symmetrical, a sort of S shape. Afterwards, let's just go right into the hands. So to do the hands, the picture that I'm referencing, there's 4 fingers visible because the thumb is behind the stick. So you could just do 4 knuckles and then 4 fingers. You know, you kind of draw the lines separating that circle, that fist, into 4 equal parts. To do the stick, it's very simple. There's a little bit on the left side of the hand, so you could just do a small rectangle and then a thicker but shorter one beneath it. And to do the actual stick is just a big long curved line. It is not straight because it's moving, so we're not going to make it straight. Give that line some volume, some 2-dimension. And repeat the same process but mirror it from below. You can always refine the lines as you're going because you want to get it ready for when it's coloring. But it's okay if it's not perfect because again, the coloring will help you fix that. For the rest of the cello, you do the same thing that you did before, but you start out with the spike and then you move on to the S shape. So it kind of creates this circle that has a curve inside. This oval, I should say. And you repeat that on the other side as well. To give it some 3-dimension, you follow the same line. Just make it a little lower than the first one, than the one next to it. You could also connect the 2 spikes together. For the second arm, you could start off by doing the armpit. That's the word. So I'm gonna say it, the armpit, and then you can move on to the elbow by creating this sort of diamond shape. That it's not too sharp, but it's not plain circle either. Again, it's a hoodie, so you can make it as baggy as you want. Just don't overdo it. You could create the wrist line. Now, in the picture that I'm referencing, again, the hoodie kind of laps over because it's very big, so you can kind of see it through the cello. For the hand, you could start by doing the palm that connects to the thumb because the thumb is going to be behind. It's going to be in the background. The first finger is going to be touching the first string, so you could fold the finger. The finger has 3 parts. Fold it down, create a sort of subtle knuckle. The second finger is going to touch the second string. So again, folding in 3 parts and then the knuckle. When you divide a finger, it's in 3 parts. So you could actually like emphasize those parts. The third finger is going to be just a little higher, and then the last finger even higher. You can place those fingers out however you want. I'm doing it in the way that I see in my reference. There, for the last finger, like I said earlier, I want to make it a little higher just to emphasize that she's playing the whole neck of the instrument. You can always add a little bit of shading everywhere, under the hair, in the hand, in the hoodie, behind the cello as well. Just kind of shade the whole thing over just so that you can see where the light is going to touch. You can always fix up little things. So what I love about her cello is that the string kind of folds down through this wood piece. So we're going to do that is just rectangle. I use a ruler to be as precise as possible and make the lines look straight. So under that rectangle that we just did, the lines are going to go straight down. And you create 4 lines because there's 4 strings on the cello. Then you can do also the strings onto the side on the neck, but it's gonna be a little diagonal. It's not gonna be straight. It's gonna follow that space that we left on the curves of the cello on the top. So again, 4 lines for 4 strings. You can fix up the fingers if it smudges it a bit. Then there is this sort of design that are on each side. It's kind of like, well, not kind of like, it is an S shape. It's another S shape. But it's gonna be 2-dimensional. It's not gonna be just 1 line. You're gonna make it into 2 S shapes that connect at the end. And it's very long. It's elongated. I think most cellos have that shape, actually, not just that one. Even violins, I think. Moving on. So for the top of the neck, kind of create a 3-dimensional cube. And then it kind of curves up in on itself. So to create that sort of motion, you can just move your finger straight and then bring it up and then curve it back. You could add little details like I'm doing right here. There are some like parts extending from both sides of that top. It's very simple. It's just little rectangle and then an oval afterwards. For the other side, you're not going to do the rectangle. You're just going to do a sort of bump because of perspective. We don't really see it well. We only see that end, the end of it. Now, time for coloring. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you in my next video.